EJ was the trigger. Here's the full story and why Brady's revelation changes everything. It wasn't Clyde. It wasn't Ava. It wasn't even a desperate rival in the DiMera family. The true shooter of E.J. DiMera was someone no one ever imagined capable, a young girl, caught in a storm of betrayal, secrets, and unresolved rage. And yet, the truth is as chilling as it is heartbreaking. Rachel Black shot E.J. DiMera that night. This isn't a theory. It's not speculation. It's the logical conclusion you come to when you follow the facts, listen closely to Brady Black's confession, and examine the curious recast of Rachel's role with fresh-faced Alice Halsey stepping into shoes too large for innocence alone. The puzzle is complete, and now, it's time to walk through exactly what happened, why it happened, and what it means for the future of Salem. A new Rachel, a new direction. And a dark secret. Fans were stunned when it was announced that the role of Rachel Black was being recast. Finley Rose Slater, who had played the part with youthful vulnerability and a mischievous edge, was stepping aside for Alice Halsey. Many wondered why the sudden shift in the actress portraying a character still so young? Eric Martsolf, who plays Brady Black, dropped a bombshell in a recent interview with Soap Opera Digest. At first, he admitted, he didn't understand the move. I deeply questioned why they recast Rachel, he said, suggesting Slater had done a phenomenal job. But then he was told more. And what he learned changed everything. The writers weren't just aging Rachel to explore a teen storyline. They were preparing her for something bigger, something darker. As Martsolf cryptically teased, the storyline required profound changes. And now we know why. What really happened that night, reconstructing the crime. Let's go back to the night E.J. DiMera was shot. Everyone assumed it had to be someone with a vendetta, and Salem has no shortage of people who want E.J. gone. But the twist is, this wasn't a power move. It was a reaction, emotional and unplanned. A child's fury unleashed in a split second of chaos. Rachel was said to be asleep, tucked away safely, while the adults went about their dangerous, deceitful games. The only one to vouch for her whereabouts? Kristen DiMera. And here lies the problem. Kristen has lied, covered up, and manipulated her way through every situation she's faced. Why would this be any different? What if Rachel wasn't asleep? What if Kristen heard something, found her daughter missing from bed, and in a panic, perhaps even covered in blood, rushed to get Rachel cleaned up and back into her room before the police could arrive? What if Kristen thought she was protecting her daughter from a terrible mistake? Because that's exactly what happened. Rachel had a motive. And the means. Remember the tension building up between Rachel and E.J.? It wasn't just a clash of personalities, it was war. E.J. had kicked out Rachel's beloved grandmother, Rachel Blake. He made cruel threats to Kristen, whom Rachel still sees as her one constant, despite everything. A child doesn't always see the nuances of adult battles. What Rachel saw was simple: E.J. was hurting the people she loved. And she had access to a weapon. DiMera homes aren't exactly Fort Knox. In a place where secrets are currency, firearms aren't hard to find. Rachel, boiling with anger and unable to process her fear of losing her family, acted. She picked up a gun, went downstairs, and pulled the trigger. Brady knows, and he can't unsee it. Here's where Brady Black enters the picture again. He didn't say the words outright, but listen to what he said between the lines. Brady said Rachel would soon be at the center of a dramatic storyline. He hinted at profound changes. He looked shaken. And he's not just talking about a teenager learning hard truths, he's talking about a father discovering something devastating about his child. The kind of thing that can't be undone. The kind of thing that makes you question everything, including whether your child has crossed a line they can never return from. Did E.J. see her? One detail keeps getting lost in the noise: E.J. survived. He didn't die. And since the shooting, E.J. has been odd. Subdued. thoughtful. Not like himself. Spoilers even say Kristen will be startled by EJ's strange behavior between April 21st to 25th. What if EJ saw who shot him? What if he opened his eyes long enough to see Rachel standing there, gun trembling in her hand, and he chose not to say anything? EJ has done plenty of horrible things, but he's not heartless. He loves fiercely, and Rachel is his niece. If he recognized her, he might be choosing silence over scandal, protection over prosecution. He might be waiting. Watching. And hoping this nightmare just goes away. Why the recast makes perfect sense now. The old Rachel couldn't carry this weight. Not because of talent, Finley Rose Slater was exceptional. But this story needs gravity. It needs a presence that can portray guilt, trauma, and the slow unraveling of a young girl who committed an unthinkable act. Alice Halsey brings that edge. And now, we'll see Rachel as she tries to carry the burden of what she's done, or worse, tries to convince herself she didn't do it at all. The fallout is coming. Kristen will face the truth, and a mother's loyalty will be tested like never before. Brady will be shattered. How do you protect your daughter when she's committed a crime? How do you not protect her? And EJ? What happens when he finally decides to speak the truth, or when someone else finds out before he does? The countdown has begun. Rachel Black shot EJ DiMera. That's the truth. The only question left is how long Salem will remain in the dark. And who will be the first to drag this secret into the light? Stay tuned. This is only the beginning. Meanwhile, a new chapter begins, Chanel's unexpected blessing and Sophia's hopeful journey in Salem, where heartache and hope walk hand in hand. This week's developments have brought a mix of emotional highs and quiet revelations for two young women trying to forge paths filled with love, family, and second chances. What began as a quiet day with no desire for hospital fundraisers has turned into a life-changing moment for Chanel and a beacon of hope for Sophia. Let's begin with Chanel, whose life has been teetering on a delicate edge ever since EJ fell into a coma. As Chanel tried to balance the strain of her husband's medical crisis with the responsibilities of impending motherhood, support came not from the DiMera mansion but from her own mother, Paulina, currently caught up in her mayoral duties but ever present as a maternal rock. And then, something shifted. Chanel and Paulina sat in their modest home, sharing a rare quiet moment, both of them united in their decision not to attend the upcoming hospital fundraiser. Paulina, exhausted from mayoral affairs, and Chanel, overwhelmed by emotional burdens, saw no purpose in facing the crowd when their real battles were much closer to home. That was when Amy arrived, and everything changed. Amy's change of heart, a conversation that alters everything. Amy, the young woman who had once wavered on her decision to allow Chanel and Johnny to adopt her unborn child, stepped into their lives again with a surprising revelation: she wanted to reconsider the adoption. Her eyes were filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty as she brought up EJ's condition. "He's still in a coma, right?" she asked, her voice soft but searching. Chanel and Paulina exchanged glances, knowing what this question might lead to. But both women quickly assured Amy that even if EJ were to wake up and recover fully, he would have no part in the life of the child or their new family unit. Chanel's voice was firm but filled with compassion. "Even if he wakes up today," Chanel said, "this is still our future. We're not turning back." Amy, visibly relieved by the reassurance, smiled faintly. "Then I have no objections," she said quietly. That moment, small in words but monumental in meaning, signaled the beginning of something new for all three women. Paulina, ever the proud mother, praised Amy's courage and praised Chanel's resolve. Chanel, in turn, was glowing. She was about to call Johnny, eager to share the joyful news, when her phone buzzed. The text that shook everything. But didn't break it. A message from Johnny popped onto her screen. "EJ's awake." For a heartbeat, Chanel froze. The name she thought she'd be free from, the man whose shadow loomed large in her life, was suddenly stirring again. alive, alert, and ready to return. But with resolve hard-earned through weeks of turmoil, she turned to Amy and smiled. "This doesn't change anything," Chanel said calmly. "We're not going back to that house. That chapter is over." Amy looked into her eyes, searching for doubt. There was none. "I believe you," Amy said. "But, where will you live?" It was a practical concern. One Chanel had asked herself more than once. But she took Amy's hand, her tone steady, her belief stronger than ever. "We'll be okay," Chanel said. "Money won't be a problem. Housing won't be a problem. And you deserve to know, we might not be as religious as we pretended to be. But we fear God, and will raise this baby in faith." Amy, moved by the honesty, felt tears sting her eyes. Trust had been built, not through perfection, but through truth. She agreed to go forward with the adoption. Sophia and Tate, a different kind of hope elsewhere in Salem, another story of motherhood was quietly unfolding. Sophia, a young woman trying to make sense of her own future, visited Tate with big news and bigger uncertainty. "My mom's been thinking a lot about adoption," she told Tate, twirling a piece of hair around her finger nervously. "I don't know what she's going to decide, but I hope she says yes." Sophia wasn't afraid of being a mother. But like many young women, she was afraid of the unknown. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of not having a village around her. And Tate, ever the loyal friend and quiet protector, understood. "I'll be there," he said simply. "Through labor, through everything. You won't be alone." That promise, spoken in a moment of vulnerability, bonded the two in a new way. They signed up for Lamaze classes, awkwardly learning breathing techniques and positioning exercises while laughing through the discomfort and nerves. And just when Sophia began to feel the flickers of confidence grow inside her, her phone lit up. It was a message from her mother. "I've decided. You can adopt the baby." Sophia's eyes welled up with emotion. Tate wrapped his arm around her, grounding her in the moment. A mother's blessing. A community's embrace. A second chance. Conclusion: more than just adoption for both Chanel and Sophia, adoption isn't just paperwork or legal terms. It's a surrender. A commitment. A belief in the future even when the past threatens to pull you back. Chanel is finding strength in letting go of a broken marriage and focusing on the gift that awaits. Sophia is finding strength in stepping into the unknown with grace and support. And Amy, caught in the middle, is learning that letting go of her child might actually be the most loving act of all. In a town full of secrets and second chances, sometimes the most powerful stories are the quietest. The ones where a text message can change a life. Where honesty matters more than perfection. And where women stand strong together, building something new. One breath, one decision, one promise at a time.